What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's the Judicial Response, and I cover political news to be, as a matter of fact. We've got a story today. You guys know I love covering these bills. When Congress writes up a bill and somebody introduces something, I love covering these things because we need to know the laws that they are making. That's what I truly believe that. We need to know exactly what's going on so we can show that we support or don't support any certain bills, right? Like, you would figure Congress, the congressional members would want to know if their constituents support what they're suggesting that we do, right? And I love to cover these because, once again, like I said, I think we all need to be a little bit better informed, because you don't want a bunch of people out there voting and they have no idea who the hell they're voting for. See, that's what I think about most Democrat voters and a lot of Republican voters as well. Like, not all, but most people that vote, they have no idea whatsoever who they're voting for. And that's insane to me, right? Like, if we would have known the extent to Joe Biden's corruption, would he have gotten 81 million votes in 2020? Yeah, I don't think so. I really, really don't think so. That's why we need to stay at least a little bit in tune to politics. But that's what I'm here for, folks. Let's get into the story right quick. No taxpayer funds for censorship promotion. Cooperation abroad in House GOP bill. Oh, this is great. You're going to love this one. House Republicans have introduced legislation to cut off the taxpayer spigot to promotion and facilitation of censorship abroad, whether advocacy for private entities or U.S. law enforcement cooperation with foreign governments to promote censorship of content that would be legal in the U.S. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on, that doesn't make any sense. Are we doing this? Yes, as a matter of fact, we are. We are definitely doing this. These people love censorship. Democrats mostly. They love censorship. I mean, for crying out loud. Adam Schiff, I just covered a bill the other day. Adam Schiff sent a strongly worded letter. Right? Like, come on, what's the deal with that? Like, who cares about a strongly worded letter? But even still, just the thought that a congressman, one of our lawmakers, sent a letter to pretty much all the main social media platforms and told them, look, you need to do something to delete people off your platforms if they happen to produce any mis or disinformation. Hang on, who decides what is mis and disinformation? Do they get to decide what is true or not? I'm sorry, that's not how reality works. Like I explained yesterday, let's say you're an investigative journalist or something, right? You go out here and you do this investigation, you get all this evidence, then you go back to your house and you make a video and you put it out there, right? And let's just say it gets picked up by the corporate press. And they can't confirm none of it. They'll just come out and say, well, this is not true. This is misinformation. Even though you have all the evidence, you have all the facts. They can just do that. And as a matter of fact, they do that all the damn time. They take a lot of these news stories and they'll twist stuff around and they'll lie to you. We don't have Adam Schiff, and it's rich coming from him, but we don't have Adam Schiff going after CNN, CBS, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, and all these places for their misinformation, do we? No. And it's rich, once again, like I said, coming from Adam Schiff, who got on national television and lied every single day. He's still doing it, as a matter of fact, saying, oh, we have evidence that Trump worked with Russia to win the election. That was a fabricated story made up by a Democrat to make Trump look bad, for them to investigate Donald Trump. Made up evidence. The FBI knew this and went along with it, spied on his campaign, knowing that the basis for their investigation was fabricated out of thin air, using campaign funds, by the way, which is insane. But before I rant on forever, let's keep going and see what this bill is all about. Rep. Chris Smith on Monday introduced the No Funding or Enforcement of Censorship Abroad Act, H.R. 9850, with House Weaponization Subcommittee Chair Jim Jordan and Rep. Maria Salazar. The bill, if passed by Congress and signed into law, would prohibit U.S. law enforcement from helping foreign censorship directives against U.S.-based internet companies. Right? This is mainly due to Brazil banning X from Brazil. Yes, that's what happened, and they were helped by the United States Foreign Force. This is just some of this crap. That's just one instance, though, but this is going on in just about every country. The Biden-Harris administration has weaponized U.S. foreign assistance programs and other means to promote censorship in Brazil and crack down on free speech that would be protected under our U.S. Constitution here at home, said Smith, chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee's Global Human Rights Subcommittee, in a press release. Smith cited a recent report by Civilization Works, founded by Twitter Files journalist Michael Schellenberger, that found several U.S. entities directly and indirectly involved in what it calls Brazil's censorship industrial complex, including the White House, Congress, FBI, National Endowment for Democracy, National Science Foundation, State Department, and U.S. Agency for International Development. The bill traces U.S. involvement back more than 6 years when FBI agents and a Justice Department counter-espionage agent met with a special counsel of a Brazilian election court to discuss DOJ and FBI efforts to fight what they called fake news and protect election integrity. Brazilian courts, led by Justice Alexander de Moraes, have banned Elon Musk's X in the country and threatened fines of nearly $9,000 against the social media network's users in the country who attempt to circumvent the block. The White House took 3 weeks to condemn Brazil's actions. De Moraes received and implemented recommendations on censoring content from several non-governmental organizations, including the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab, which receives state and USAID funding, according to the bill. The United States must defend Elon Musk from the attacks of Alexander de Moraes and the other forces of socialism in Brazil, Salazar said. Foundation for Freedom Online founder Mike Benz, a former Trump administration state official, told Just the News his group spent 6 months of effort breaking this and working with members of Congress to create the coalition for the legislation. Alliance Defending Freedom senior counsel Jerry Tedesco praised the bill for shining light on a growing global censorship problem in urgent need of congressional attention. It is staggering to realize that the very officials who swore an oath to our nation's Constitution are using our tax dollars to silence ordinary citizens around the world, he said in a press release. At its worst, the situation in Brazil looks like an attempt by U.S. government departments and agencies to test drive a censorship scheme aimed at the American people. Oh, and as a matter of fact, they would love nothing more than to just destroy the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, by the way, but they love censorship, right? They can't get enough censorship. This is why we have nothing but left-wing activists running our cable news companies. Yeah, nothing but left-wing activists. I think this might be intentional. They don't want you to know the truth. They only give you some of the facts. What's funny to me is the divide in this country isn't really left and right, isn't really Democrats and Republicans. What it really is informed and ill-informed, right? You get these debates, and I cover them all the time on the weekends. You get these debates, and you got these lefties over here, they're arguing their points and blah, 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 and they're lying half the time. Like, a lot of what they do is lies. They'll take something Donald Trump says, twist it around. Like, they'll take something he says out of context and put it with different context. And then be like, look, he's a bad man. He's orange, too. Right? Like, it's just insane what they do. the manipulation of the American people is there, and it's real. And personally, I don't like being manipulated. It pisses me off. That's why I started reading news, right? Because I can read out the manipulations. And I started making YouTube to show you guys that you are being manipulated constantly by these people. The way they phrase certain words, and they'll move stuff around. Right, like the bloodbath hoax. Huh? How can they take something so innocuous that Trump is warning that, look, China is building all these battery factories down there in Mexico, and they're going to try to flood the country with cheap Chinese cars, basically destroying our auto manufacturers. And then Biden takes this and uses it as a bludgeon to try to beat Trump over the head, to pander to his base and say, Trump is calling for political violence. He said there's going to be a bloodbath if he gets elected. Not telling you that it's a bloodbath in the auto industry. Which, by the way, Joe Biden would most certainly allow this bloodbath to take place. He doesn't care. Doesn't care at all. It's just insane what they do. And like the good people on both sides hoax. Look at that. I mean, you play the clip, they take this little section out and then try to claim he called neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. That's what they tried to claim. They just make this stuff up. We all saw the clip. If you watch that clip, he condemned those people, those groups, totally. Condemned them. And like seconds after he said there were very fine people on both sides. But I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists. They should be condemned totally. That's what he said. But that's what they do. They've got to manipulate their base. They pull it out of context and put it with different context to manipulate you into believing these people and to siding with Democrats. I'm not telling you to side with Republicans by no means, because Republicans lie as well. Mike Johnson is in the doghouse with me right now. A lot of Republicans are in the doghouse with me right now because these people just don't care. They want to claim bipartisanship, working backroom deals with Democrats to destroy our country by spending money, but just print and print and print and print money until we can no longer afford to pay the interest payments on our debt. That's what they're doing. But let's keep going, y'all. The National Science Foundation told Fox News it doesn't censor Americans' speech, but rather invests in a wide variety of research to help us understand how people use and interact with communication technologies and tools that allow for things like deepfakes, which serves this nation's national and economic security interests by learning how our adversaries are already using these technologies against us. Yeah, right. Yeah, that sounds fishy. Morales on Tuesday reportedly ordered the unblocking of Musk's bank accounts in the country after the social media platform agreed to pay more than $5 million in fines, paving the way for the suspension of X to be lifted in Brazil, where it has been off limits to users since August 31st. I think that was a typo, y'all. I'm sorry for that. I didn't catch it. I kind of did catch it. I'm sure y'all noticed that little pause right there. But I figured I'd read it anyway just in case, because sometimes they do that. Like sometimes when people speak, they speak, right? Like you see how I did that just now. Reading that out would make you kind of take pause, like they speak. Huh? But sorry. Side note, one of those things. That's all that story. But yeah, so Elon Musk is having to fight these people. These people, they don't care about freedom of speech. They don't want you saying certain things. No country, I'm sorry, I know different countries have different rules and different laws, but I don't understand why they try to censor people's speech, why they try to control people's freedoms of expression. All right, like we're the only country, and it's not going to be like that for long. As a matter of fact, we don't have just unfettered, unchecked speech that we can just go and do and say anything we want to, right? We can't go and incite violence because at that point it's not considered speech. But you notice all these Democrats and all these leftists, they're trying to get out there and they keep on hammering in hate speech. Oh, that's hate speech. That's hate speech. Trying to make hate speech, which is ill-defined at best, trying to make that illegal. They're definitely trying to do this. And, when I say ill-defined, that's because nobody can actually define it. Because what is hate speech? Because, we have laws against advocating for violence. We have laws against that. That, it doesn't belong to the speech category anymore. At that point, it belongs to actions, a call to action. So, define hate speech, right? If you want to say it's something to the effect of, well, I hate white people. Well, hang on, though. Hang on. Is that really hate speech? Or is that just an opinion that you just don't like white people? Like, we can't define hate speech. I've asked several people to define hate speech for me, and they can't do it. I don't think it can be defined. And you can't do that anyway, because we have freedom of speech. As long as you're not trying to incite violence or telling somebody to go commit a crime or something like that, you can do and say anything you want to. Why people would want to restrict this makes you wonder. Why do Democrats want to restrict your speech? Oh, because we don't want little kids getting picked on social media. Well, hang on. No, well, hang on with that. No, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean get picked on? Like, I've heard that's one of the arguments. Like, sure, that doesn't need to happen, but come on, some people need to just suck it up. And I've heard on the other side, oh, well, that's just mean. Yeah, life is crude. Life is very, very unfair at a lot of points in your life. I'm sorry. You can't censor speech, because once you step into that realm of censoring speech, your freedoms of speech go away, because then they can consider any sort of criticisms of the government. They can outlaw that. And now you can't criticize your government, right? Turning your country into a tyrannical regime, essentially. And we don't want that. I don't understand why people try to censor speech, but they are definitely trying to do it. And we need to make our voices heard while we can, because they're trying hard. They're trying very hard. But we need to stand up and push back against all this garbage and say, no, you need to sit down and shut up with all that. We have a First Amendment. You're not going to get rid of it. It's not going to go away. I can criticize my government. I can criticize any ideology I want to criticize. I can do and say anything I want to. I can go into a crowded theater and yell, fire. Right? As long as people don't take me seriously, nobody gets injured and it doesn't cause a riot, that's totally fine. But see, if you go out and incite a riot, yeah, that's not speech. That's incitement of a riot. So you can yell fire in a crowded theater. I don't know why people use that. Right? Like, why don't you just say you can't incite a riot or incite violence? You can't say, let's go beat this guy up right now. Yeah, that's not really speech. That's not your freedom to express yourself however the hell you want to. That's inciting violence. And, there is a definite fine line between incitement and speech. And you can't define hate speech, because you could turn anything that you dislike into hate and consider that hate speech. Like, I could say I hate cockroaches, and that could fall under a definition of hate speech, because I am saying I hate something. It's just ridiculous what these people are trying to do. Don't let these people fool you. Don't listen to their excuses. Tell them no. Tell them shut up. Sit down. You're not going to police what I say. Nobody is. I'm sorry. That is not up for the government to do. Not at all. But like I said, I think that's all I got for this one. Look, I need you guys to do me a big favor. Big, huge favor. I would really appreciate if you could just look right below the video and just punch that like button for me. Just give it a quick tap. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you like this video, smash that subscribe button for me. And that's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.